Okay, I got a feeling this is going to be fun. And man, that feels great to say. So we're going to cover this up so I'm not distracted staring at myself. All right, we're doing this while I still have the excitement. All right, I'm doing this before the excitement about this fades. I've made that mistake so many freaking times. But what we're doing today is I want to start talking more. It gets at volume. I have noticed that Charlie Hooper is a very good speaker when he just goes on for an hour, pretty much off the cuff podcast he does every week. And if you've been paying attention, the past year, 2 years of my life has been about developing speaking skills and trying to get a business, teaching them to other people. So this level of skill, it kind of perplexes me. The only obvious truth is, without any training, he's been explicit, he has not had any. The sheer volume of practice he's got in has risen him to such a high level. On one hand, I want to have that level. I think they're complementary skills, but the ones that he's showing off, I don't have. I want it, and it seems it can't be taught. Only sheer volume. So I want to start getting that. Also, it gives him an immense amount of clarity on the specific topics he cares about right now. So when he walks into a conversation with a friend or somebody else, he's not steering around rambling. He's already laser focused. That is a two-edged sword that I see is really powerful. So this is my first time attempting to do this. What this is going to matter for anyone who watches this is we're talking about the effects of AI on software engineering. I see it a lot in my day job. I'm trying to put together a video about this in my main channel. And every time I do this, I end up spending too much time and get bogged down. So let's just go. We're going to do fake Q&A. I think this is going to be good. We're going to talk about what I see affecting in the industry, a little discussion of what other people might be seeing, and then, bring this up. Could not be better timing for Expedition 33 to have been created and for us to have experienced it. The entire game is the best lesson I've ever seen in my life about how to know when something's changing that you can't do anything about, how to let go of that, and how doing that unlocks all of the possible great things that could come next if you stop hanging on to the thing that you cannot keep alive. It's time for us to go. First segment, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's on my mind right now. This is going to be the most challenging part for me, and this is probably going to be the most low value to anyone else. But I'm going to be doing this channel just for me, so not expecting anyone to like this or watch this. Maybe by episode 10, it'll get good enough that this is useful. So, right away, doing the absolute least appealing part at the beginning is the worst possible thing you can do for any video. Already, it feels so good to do it. Everything about my creation process has just gotten more and more hyper. What does the audience want? How do we maximize getting people's attention? This line versus that line. What if I reordered this? Oh, I shouldn't even be talking about that topic. And fuck, dude, it's stressful. And you just get stuck in that loop forever. There is no perfect stopping point. I'm going to bring this up as this is the number one difference between engineer speakers and other speakers. We get into it because we like the ability to make perfection. The feeling that there is a concrete, perfect thing that we could make and know that we're the end point, that this is done, this is good, we can verify it. It feels amazing to people like us. There's this feeling of certainty that this is right, instead of ambiguity that maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And not everyone has the same amount of need for that feeling of certainty. And that creates a lot of challenge in creative work and entrepreneurship. So this is going to be a big thing we have to deal with, we grapple with. I'm actually going to write that down right now. Take away. anyways. Because I'm hoping this will also be a great fertile ground for the main channel videos that I do create. Those should be better if I talk through this. My riffing section in each segment should also be smoother. But maybe if I'm really lucky, it'll shrink the amount of work I need to spend on that. I could turn the research into fun. I would rather be practicing speaking, getting this skill better, than spend 5 hours in front of a computer screen typing buttons trying to revise a draft. So, computer scientists crave certainty. And I'll say that is true. My childhood had a lot of uncertainty in it. And I wonder if you ask yourself if you'd find the same. When got into the coursework in college, there was so much guaranteed certainty that I loved that part. At the time, I didn't know that's what the feeling is or what that was applying to me. Looking back at it now, with all that I've studied, yeah, I see that. It felt amazing. The work might have been hard or difficult. At the same time, it's stuff that I'm naturally good at, so that was a perk too. But the main thing, I think, more than the skill, was that feeling of certainty. That's probably what keeps me going and going, and just, let's try one more change. Let's try and compile it one more time. Okay, and that's why we're here right now. Because AI is changing everything, and we're first. I haven't even been aware of layoffs or anything happening. I'm just living my own life. I see it face to face in just what's happening in front of me at my day job. At first, it's the natural instinct of, hey, I like building things. This is a way to build things faster. I'm excited about this. It's been that way for a while. February, it tipped over, where things would start getting built so fast that now I turn around and look at the people on my team and wonder, do we really need you anymore? And it feels shit to think about that. But I know when I'm thinking that, there has to be someone thinking that about me. So this brings into the main thing of, well, this isn't temporary. This isn't like the .com crashes in the 2000s where there was an oversupply and it corrected. This is a permanent change in the amount of engineering, amount of human skill, the amount of me needed to do the same thing that we wanted before. And there's a very good chance that this is just the end of software engineering. Now, I'm going to be really clear about this. There is a lot of sleazy weasel phrases that people use with AI. Before I was a software engineer, I was an artificial intelligence scientist. I published research on this. And it does not fucking matter if there's still people doing it. The metric is there enough people still doing it? If you take 99% of the jobs away and throw up your hands like, well, AI can't do it all, you still have basically ruined everyone's lives. You have gotten the same result that we're going to experience as if it was 100%. So don't even bring that up. We're just going to round it to 100%, even though we know there will probably be a few people left. Caveats aside, caveats. That is another thing that engineers are trained to do, which drive people nuts when we speak. Yeah, we'll dive into that later. That'll be good third section. Third section, speaking parts. So right away, we're building this fake podcast as we go along. So don't expect it to be that smooth in the first try. But that's how all of this is happening. The AI work we're doing is building things as we go along and then deciding, well, what the hell do we do with our career? And how are we supposed to survive? And what does it even mean to be human anymore? This is all being built as we go along. So this feels perfect for that. So to summarize, I'm seeing this face to face. It's undeniable where I'm at that AI is reducing the need for us. And maybe there'll be some plateau where we create more, but I don't see that being a huge change. And the AI is not just increasing, but accelerating. So I think we have to deal with the fact that there's a good chance we may never have a software engineering job again. That's the concrete reality. So what the fuck do we do? First segment here, I'm still talking about myself. I have wanted to leave software for a while anyway. It's great, but I'm not getting anything deep out of it anymore. And once I started this content creator journey, that just opened up these wide doors of how much more there is to life that I've been completely missing out on. Even if my life didn't change and I was still a software engineer, the things I was learning from doing that with teaching more about what is the purpose of being alive and what does actual human connection mean. These real deep things. What do I actually want out of life? Why do I want it? What does happiness and success and a good result look like to me? Like we were talking with realizing that in college I was getting certainty out of this. I don't really understand that because of the things I learned through this content creator, entrepreneur side of my life. And I so badly want more of that. I don't want to end my life without having learned and experienced and gotten to apply and use all the cool stuff from this. All the things it feels like this is the true, real life that I've been sadly missing and neglecting for 40 years of my life. And now I have a chance to get that. And I don't want to waste another 5-10 years. I'm running out of these years doing more of anything else. But haven't really gotten that far with that. I've learned a lot, but I'm not making money enough that I could support myself without the software engineer. So it's concerning me. I'm freaking out. Nah, we're skipping those weasel words. To be honest, I'm a little scared. It looks like this is going to be my last software job ever. I don't think I would be able to get another job if I lost this one. I probably wouldn't even want to, but I don't think I even have that option. And I don't know a way yet to make money off of this other world, or if AI is just going to eat that up too. So it's been this rapid shock of, crap, my current business plan that I was working on, I realized there's a deep flaw in that. So I have to take a step back and let go of that entire part of my identity. And yay, I'm just going to spend a little time focusing on my day job, and I'll get ahead on that so I can feel good. And I know that's in a great situation. I have one part of my life that's clean and proud, and that's a little credibility. I can just flex a bit, I might not know this business part so well, but I can prove I'm a good software engineer. And now that's dropping out. So we're all probably feeling that. I realized all my clocks are so small that I'm losing track of how long I'm talking. So we're getting this guy out, and that's what you are for. Quick peekaboo to see how much time we've already accrued. Okay, 15 minutes, yeah. If we're shooting for 20 minutes a segment, yeah, we should wrap this up now. Yeah, this will be handy. And we're not editing stuff up, so we're just going to keep going. So what are some questions that you might be having? I've seen that has been one of the best cores of Charlie's podcast path. It gives him a whole lot of ideas to talk about. So he easily can pump out an hour a week of practice. And that's what I'm looking for. My goal is to get an hour a week of doing this. I built an AI bot of Tony Robbins. And the first thing you pointed out is you spend too much time planning and not enough time getting experience doing the thing. So if speaking is my favorite thing in the world, I am fucking getting experience doing the thing. 20-minute segments. And like I was saying, having questions. It makes it a lot easier to keep going. You have something interesting to talk about. You have new stimuli instead of what's one thing for an hour. Like, man, no, that's real rough. And also, that's a situation you most want to prepare for. If it's scripted, hey, whatever. Spend a zillion hours. You can get it done really good. But all those critical, irrevocable conversations where someone just asks you something and you need to say something clear, make them feel why it matters and make them understand something difficult instantly, like questions, that's the only way to go. So, we used our buddy AI to generate some. Use the problem to make the solution. So let's see. We can pretend how fake we want to do this in the future. I'm going to build freaking voice to text. We will have a freaking co-host on this podcast made out of electricity. It's going to be great. First question. What specific parts of my current job would be easiest for AI to automate today, and how quickly could that realistically happen? Oh, man. Okay. I must have wrote a good prompt. This is pretty decent. This is a critical thing. It's not everything. So getting clear on which parts are getting replaced and what parts remain is pretty much the key to any survival we're going to have, even if it's just extending it out for another few years. The actual implementation is the part that is just going away. With some judgment calls and the right tools, that's somebody else's podcast. You see it. We can pretty much annihilate that. Debugging also. You can get a lot more mileage out of putting in hooks to it so it can see more of what's output. But man, debugging is going super fast too, and unit tests. Woo! So those three things where you're actually editing code, those are going to be what's gone. So how quickly that could happen? I'm thinking it's a matter of months. There's no way we're going to still have this by the end of the year. Now that I'm asking what other people are seeing, a lot of people are saying that they're 99%, 100% completely AI generated code. There's and there's just a different lag between how cutting edge is your company versus how behind it is. But this is going to have a snowball effect where if you are in a company that is protecting you by either being slow or whatever reason, those companies are going to get crushed by the ones using AI and just go out of business. So there is no pockets you can hide in that, and this is going away. So I'm guessing that I will probably not be writing any code in maybe 4 months. There's a few niche situations where I just need to make the proper glue to connect things together. And once I have AI freeing me up from my daily duties of creating these features, well, that gives me a lot of time to make that glue code. So it's going to nothing. Oh, crap, it all happened in 1 week. Get used to that feeling. Now, the question you didn't ask, but the takeaway you need, there is another half, things that aren't being replaced yet. Oh, yeah, that's just pasted. And this is the organizing of what we need to do. At least at my company, we have a ton of features, and each of them have like a trillion different iterations of what could happen, couldn't happen. And we spend probably 50% of our development time adding things in that we didn't know we needed, or fixing something where we thought that would be the correct behavior, but because of some edge case, no, we actually don't need to do that. Man, we should have figured that out. So those discussions, if you work on it, you can get AI to help you with, but we're still the ones on that. There's Going to be a lot more of sitting in meetings, which I don't even want to stay in this job anyway, and a lot more organized Slack. Get used to having those Jira tickets. So currently, I am working hard with my team to push their abilities on this, give them responsibility so they can have that in their tool belt instead of remaining being the guy who just gets a very organized thing on a platter from me and implements it, because that job is going away. Number 2, if my company cut 30% of engineers citing AI productivity gains, what evidence would show that I'm in the keep group versus the cut group? Yeah, that's the right question. Absolutely, how much are you defining the acceptance criteria? There's a lot of different eds to that, but that is it, man. You could be closer to the product management team where you're actually deciding how to solve the problem that the user has, or you could be simply taking, we need this to happen, and hammering out the exact details and why that would fit in with the existing behaviors. But that is it. And you can start to guess what the skills needed for that are. We could get into that later, but we're going to try to pick up the pace. Oh, this one's a comment. Recent layoffs increasing cite AI efficiency even at profitable companies, meaning cuts aren't about performance, but workforce redesign towards smaller senior teams. Yeah, if you think the reason that there's layoffs is because there's not enough money, you're not really understanding how your job works or your business or your economy works. And it's not safe to not understand this stuff now. You have to understand now. It is just simple. A company exists to make more money. Not to make money, to make more money. So everything about it is legally required. People can get sued for not doing things that would make more money. Which means if there is a way to get the same amount of profit without paying you, that is what they will do. And that's what we're staring at. You can get the same amount of work done, they can have the same amount of product to sell, but they don't have to have the engineer, they don't have to have that cost, which means their stock's gonna go up, it's gonna be great for them. You might wanna start buying tech stocks while you're losing your tech job. Next, am I building skills that scale with AI? Architecture, product judgment, system designs? Or competing directly against it, routine coding? Well, that is the question, man. I didn't realize that we might have to help people learn how to tell the difference between those buckets. Maybe if you're junior, you're not really sure what those two are, but yes, system design, that's still with us today. I already see that eroding. But for now, AI is flawless if you give it small enough chunks and just assemble those chunks together. So you're still not doing any coding, but you do multiple steps. One of our leads, he's working on a side project where he's teaching it system design and having multiple agents funneled into other parts where it will be a single button. In the YouTube script writing work that I'm doing, trying to automate that with AI, it falls on its face trying to do it all at once instead of piece by piece. But I do have other people who say it's working great. I think might because I demand a different level of emotional intensity in what I'm putting out. But this is the same problem across the board. Everyone says no, but it's happening right now. So effectively might be no. Architecture, same bucket. Product judgment, that's gonna be the good stuff. Basically, you're gonna be becoming a hybrid of a product manager and a manager. But instead of managing people, you'll be managing agents. So that's less stressful than being a real manager. That could be an improvement. Next, if junior roles are shrinking and senior judgment is rising in value, what concrete behaviors show I'm moving up that ladder now? Oh yeah, okay. You're solution focused. Nice. The number one thing's always going to be initiative. We are still hired and fired by people, and we hate letting people go. And most of us like each other. In my company, we have a whole lot of contractors in the Ukraine, and we feel like shit letting those people go. So if you're taking the initiative, that gives us a reason to want to. It gives us an excuse to keep you. If you suck at it, or if it's taking you a long time, still, we see you're trying and we can hope for it. It's a huge help that will get you into the bucket of people who are going to last. It'll buy you some more months at the very first. It'll give you the time needed to learn. Then after that, mastering those skills. Take initiative at trying to be in charge of one specific part of, with one specific feature or collection of features. Find something that has a reasonable level of complexity that's a pain in the ass for your lead or your manager to keep track of, and say, hey, I think I can be the specialist on this. I can be the person that everyone goes to when they ask me, what's the status on the tickets? Are there any new bugs or defects or tickets on this topic? So I can just give you a complete status report on everything involving that and what actually goes into the feature, the user experience, the different data it uses, the problems it solves for the customer. How do we create test data for it? There can be a lot of slow, difficult things in that. And if you can make that in a single bucket that you're in charge of, that maximizes what your lead or your manager can do. They're going to love you. And those are all skills that will stay valuable for the next few years. Comment. Hiring data shows entry-level hiring has dropped sharply while experienced engineers remain in demand, reflecting AI replacement's simpler task first. Yeah, even before I saw any significant AI work, we had stopped hiring entry for a long time. The current other major person in my department, I had to go to bat for hiring like crazy to get her hired, because even back then, it was maybe 5 years ago, she was like, nah, we don't need to. I don't think this is related to AI. This is going to get me worse, but entry level, for whatever reasons, was dying. Wrong word, because it was going to have to come back, because you still have to create new experienced engineers. But yeah, no one wanted to hire entry level, and mid was even a struggle. Man. But I think it's a false assumption that the seniors are growing in demand, or this is staying the same. No, that's dropping off too. So we're all going to be in the same bucket. We have to learn to adapt to this. What percentage of my daily work would still exist if AI handled 80 to 90% of the coding? If it just flat out did the entire system all at once, code reviewing is going to exist for a little while longer. We're getting better at having the AI do the code reviews, but at some point, everyone needs to have an audit chain. I don't know if we'll ever get to the point where it's so flawless, never screw up, that we can completely stop looking at it and hand it off to the AI. So worst case scenario, you're still going to be needed to go through, all right, they made this change. This AI reviewed it and said everything's fine. Here's a quick summary. Here's the key parts to look at. And double check that makes sense. A sanity check, a direction check. This is going to be really similar to being a radiologist. That's what I did artificial intelligence for, is it takes them a long time to look at each x-ray. It's not an x-ray, but we'll just call it that. And go, oh my gosh, anywhere. Oh, there's something weird over here. Now let me use my gajillion dollar an hour skill set to identify, is this cancer or not? The AI would go through and just, okay, there's this spot that's weird, this spot that's weird. There's only 2 little nuggets you need to look at, and now you can look through 1,000 more x-rays per day. The AI tools are gonna make it so we can do our code reviews super fast, but you're gonna be inspecting these edge parts and going, are we sure that looks right? Is there anything weird? And I will tell you, this sounds horrific. The radiologist's job, I'm going to practice that. The radiologist's job is tedious as fuck. It's all day basically looking at the grass to make sure it hasn't grown. Like, is there anything wrong here? Nope. How about there? Nope. 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 Oh, there's one. Quality assurance is terrible. Wow. So, yeah, that is one part that would definitely not go away. You wanted a number. We'll just condense it down. The specs development and the final auditing chain, I'm going to say maybe 10% of your current job of what remains. So that's where we get the 90% of engineers are going to go away statistic. If AI tools doubled my productivity, would my employer view that as great, keep you, or great, we need fewer of you? Your employer is definitely going to view that as great, we don't need as many of you. There is no point on earth when they're sitting around going, great, we have more than we need, and that's just cute to have. Look up just-in-time delivery, just-in-time manufacturing, just-in-time supply chains. The whole idea of having more than you needed is waste. It costs money, and you want to eliminate that as much as possible. So if you are producing twice as much, this isn't something that they might think of in the shower after working through this for a couple of months. It's going to immediately be explicit in the training that they have been trained on for years. This is something I need to eliminate. This is costing us money. You know, I'm going to try that again. I don't like the tone. So, no, they're immediately going to think, this means we don't need as many of you. Just-in-time training is a fundamental part of every business, and your manager has definitely been trained on it. The whole concept is if you ever have more than you need, it's not a good thing. It's waste, and you have to eliminate that waste in order to keep your job. So they're immediately going to recognize this. It's something they're trained to look for, and they're going to start taking steps to reduce their costs. Comment. Some companies appear to be laying off in anticipation of AI impact rather than current capability, meaning perception of future automation is already affecting jobs. That's an interesting point. It's a mixed bag, and I don't know if we'll ever be able to say, because many companies are bloated, and there's always people that they want to fire, and they're waiting for an excuse that won't get them so much social backlash. So it could be that, and it could be that they're actively thinking what AI is going to do next. I would say it's very rare that a company is going to eliminate more people than they need today, because they want everything's a competition. The business is the Olympics, and if you lose a fraction of a second, that could be the difference between winning and not even being on the podium. And cutting more than they need is going to make them run slower during this point, which means it's going to take them longer to get to the point where they can use the next AI tool. And with things going exponential, any delay is just life or death right now. So I don't think that's likely to happen. They're probably going to keep everyone they need right now, maybe even a small buffer, and then lower people, like reduce. Last question. What would I need to demonstrably own, like system, domain, or revenue impact, so losing me creates a real business risk? This is going to be hard. In the short term, it is getting that topic knowledge, being the expert on one part of the future. From what are the tasks in flight, what are the possible bugs that could come up, the history of it, the edge cases of the acceptance criteria, how to build data and test it. But very soon, they're going to sit down and say, hey, we have these agents we can build. Sit down with it today and tell it everything you know, so it's easier for people to ask when you're out. And then you're out. So everything still comes down to just buying more time. Well, that is a pretty solid question to transition to the next part. We've been looking at tactics right now. What are the small things you do to keep your job? How long we're going to have this job? Now it's time to talk about strategy. Everything in our world is going to change. If you're a software engineer, I don't have to explain this to you because you actually understand how infinite software will change everything in every part of society. So the big question that we really need to be asking is, what the hell do we do with this? So my focus is this guy. We are saying goodbye to everything in the world right now and going to be given something completely new in very soon. And the themes of Expedition 33 were the best way I have seen in my life to learn how to let go of things that you wish could keep, but it's time for them to go in order to not rob yourself of all the potential good things that could come next. The game could not have been made at a more important time. So we're going to be talking about that. But let me just give my first quick takes. I think that's going to be the real big suffering. The reality is none of us are going to have a very significant influence on what happens next. The outcomes that happen in our life, almost all of it is going to be out of our hands. This is a giant tsunami. It's a meteorite coming straight at Earth. And if you optimize this skill or pivot it to that career, you're just moving to a different place on the map that's getting hit by a fucking meteor. We're the dinosaurs, all right? Now, physically we're going to survive. But whether that's, starving in the forest, begging on the streets, or living in post-scarcity luxury, it's going to happen without it. It's going to happen what's going to happen. It's not really going to be influenced by your particular actions. So the biggest leverage tool that you can be doing right now is internal. Like, how do you feel about this? How do you enjoy the time we do have? How do we make the most of the experiences we've had? Now, I know this sounds hippie, and I'm not explaining this the right way. It comes down to Michael Jordan syndrome, where he had everything, incredibly successful. He still was a miserable guy. So if we know that's true, and it's easy for us to go, okay, well, you need to have all the fame, the money, and the success, and all this stuff. Like, okay, well, I guess it doesn't guarantee. The flip side's completely true, too. That you can have a pretty modest existence that could be really happy, but be miserable because you're stressed out about AI, or you're spending 24 hours a day trying to build an agent, to launch a new company, to try and beat everyone else, to be the first one to finally make money before we stop having jobs on Earth. And then just be miserable for the next years. So whether or not you are building something that will improve your financial situation, the ability to enjoy this process it's going to be essential. This basically is the life or death now. Like, can you enjoy this new world or not? And it's also going to sharpen your sword. For the first 2 weeks, I was so stressed out about this, trying to learn AI stuff on my own so fast that I barely even knew what room I was in. And it was miserable. And it made me stupid. I was coding less efficiently. I was making bad mistakes. I was overlooking major opportunities because I was in such panic mode. So either way, this is the most important lever we have. So we're bringing everything together. You should have known it. Expedition 33 is basically about what do we do when AI is alive and how do we treat it like real people, or do we erase them when it's not convenient? So Expedition 33, lessons on letting go of the old world and finding the good, taking advantage of the good opportunities that are going to come in with this completely different AI world that's coming. First question. What part of the old software engineering identity, builder, coder, technical expert, am I afraid is disappearing, and what's actually still mine? Well, you're not getting into it directly, but the letting go of the old identity is going to be a big part of what we do. Our identity changes slowly over time, and when it happens quickly, it freaks us the fuck out. And that's now. Going from a beginner coder to an advanced architect who doesn't really do much, and some people go into management. Usually that happens so slow, it doesn't freak us out that much, but now we're gonna have to get good at adapting to this part of change really quick. In the end, I think it's going to go back to the core of being someone who's adaptable. That is the core that we all got into. We learn. We love growing. I use languages and tools now that didn't exist when I started my career. I'm sure you do too. And that is part of the fun. We might not actually be builders anymore. And that may be the half we have to let go. But the adapters, that is what we are better than everyone else at. And that is going to remain the hugest thing in humanity. It's going to become the top thing. Next. If AI permanently reduces demand for some engineering roles, what version of me survives and evolves rather than resists? Yeah, it's, as we said, I like the way this is phrased, but the adapter. As much as you can, seeing yourself as that's your identity, that is going to stay with you, and it's going to serve you really well. Make sure to apply that to the three major parts of your life. The trying to keep this job, trying to adapt to the new career path we have, and adapting to how do you find joy and meaning and purpose in this new world that's coming. A lot of people aren't going to even look at the third one, and it's going to slow them down, and it's also going to make life a lot worse for them. I know for me, it's a little bit scary to think, what if I just never am needed for anything? There's nothing useful I can provide. My daily note is from Vin Zhang. The purpose of life is to find your gift and share that with your community. And if there's no value for me to give, that's hard. But we adapt. I'm already seeing a deeper connection with art. And I know how that sounds. But whether it's the ivory tower scenario, we're all just doing whatever the hell we like, or whether I'm hiding in the woods, eating snails to scrape by, playing violin's probably going to be one of the top significant things for me to do. It's always been useless, and it's always given me a profound amount of joy. So if you have anything like that where you really love it and you know it's completely functionless and doesn't do anything, that's important to keep note of. Start building that list. Comment: in Expedition 33, characters only unlock new powers after accepting irreversible loss. Ooh. Progress comes from integrating change, not denying it. Yeah. Fuck, I love Expedition 33. There are some brilliant, there's shitty ways to teach this that no one learns, and there are great ways. And actually just showing you the experience and feeling, oh man, yeah. And if it didn't seem like it makes sense in real life, you'd reject it. But man, that actually makes you get the mindset shift. Instead of, I don't really call it mindset because it's all down here. But knowing that we should adapt doesn't really help. It's these emotional changes you have to make that actually get it done. So I could see myself making some videos in detail talking about that. Like here, we've already done this. I've already made a video, but this is specifically about our AI shift change. That was a major loss. And they could lose the rest of their life trying to get it back, or they can get all the joy of all these new strengths that come. And this is the most perfect opportunity. We can't see the new opportunities that AI are going to create. By its very nature, it's just incomprehensibly big until it happens. But it's going to bring in a lot of new stuff that's cool and great and exciting. So if you're not blinded by being stuck on the past, you know, the whole Pinterest problem, there is a cool boatload of shit that you're going to get to take advantage of, enjoy, and grow, and just stay adaptable. Keep your mind open. Keep your inside clear and ready to see it when it shows. What am I grieving right now? Lost certainty, status, career path, or control? Man, it's a lot of things. That's a good, right question. Ask yourself what you're grieving right now. It's going to be a list, and you're going to go through them all. You have to go through them in the order that they come up to you, because I don't know what the most important thing for you was, or the one that you are currently building right now that's deep ingrained into your thoughts. Which is, again, why Expedition 33 is such the right way to learn this stuff, because it doesn't just say, hey, do this, asshole. It just shows you a lot of questions asked by different people in different parts of their life, and you can pull that out and go, okay, I can make my custom answer or custom questions for me. So all I could tell you is what mine has been. First, this was the loss of certainty. I was really finally getting into that, where I would have to pivot to a new business, but at least I could have comfort in this for a while and know that eventually something great would come out of it. Now, like, I don't know. How long do I have? Will I never get to work on a business in my life? And then it was fear of doing anything. If I go and take any opportunity, learn French in France, is that money that I can't afford to spend because I'm going to need that desperately for beans and rice for the next 20 years of my life? Yeah. You're going to have to think about it. Once you start listening to what your emotions are, instead of wishing they were something, you'll get the answers pretty quick. If uncertainty is permanent in this field now, what new internal stability could replace external job security? Yes! This is hard. I would love us to have this conversation. I hope people put input of what they think they're finding. I suggest, again, seeing yourself as the person who adapts. And, let me see how you phrase it. A strong internal stability. I just realized that I'm going to lean into is see yourself as the new Renaissance man. That was a huge thing when the Renaissance brought out so much science and art. The phrase Renaissance man meant someone who was experiencing all sorts of things, this wide range from, they knew some chemistry, they knew some biology, or if biology existed back then. They were a pianist, they were a dancer, they were a singer, they were a conversationalist, and they were all these things. And that's exactly what's happening now, only to the nth degree. We are going to become connected with more things at once. Concretely, in my day job, the barriers between the platforms is getting thin. I'm actively learning more about what tools does my cloud team use, what tool does my web team do. I started studying some iOS code, some Swift, so I could read their stuff better, because with how fast AI is getting, it's too slow to ask someone, hey, can you look at your code and explain it to me, and then I'll try to understand what you actually meant. We'll go back and forth 3 times, and then I'll finally use that to go, all right, I'll make the same thing in my platform. So this Renaissance man style, where I just know enough literacy that I can put that into the AI so we can connect it and build it, it's going to be everything. Just like we're also going to become a little bit of managers. And this is going to extend even bigger. So you're probably going to become a bit of a philosopher. You're probably going to be more of an artist. You're going to become your own guru in some ways, because these are some deep philosophical and emotional and mindset changes. That's going to be the new stuff we master. So I would say make that your cornerstone. Everything that you think, that's not me, that's somebody else's job, I do this stuff over here, just ask. Like, should I pull in a little bit of that? Because what you're able to do is going to expand so much, and you're probably going to need to make that your cornerstone. Next, which fear about AI is actually self-worth rather than employment? Yeah, that is a big one. And honestly, you have to care about survival first. You have to care about the money first. But after that, it's still a big one. The why we live. I hope most of us are in engineering because we liked it and we're not living that life where we have money but we hate everything we're doing. That's just as bad as just being homeless, pretty much. So a lot of it. And that is this big problem that we're going to have to solve that only you can solve for yourself, that you should get started on now. So by the time that shows up, you've already developed the skills or you're halfway through it. Don't let that crash into you. Get ready for that. How am I going to feel self-worth when I don't create anything of value anymore? If the future of engineering becomes smaller teams and AI leverage, what would thriving, not just surviving, look like for me? It's a difficult question because it's going to be so temporary. Whatever we get into is going to be changed in something else really rapid. I honestly struggle to imagine any scenario where things are just, here's how it is now, get used to it. So, yeah. Comment. Several Expedition 33 characters gain strength only after releasing attachment to the past world they can't restore, mirroring career transitions under AI disruption. We basically already covered this. But maybe we could think of an example. I always like the Gustave example. He starts off saying, hey, I'm going to do nothing useless today because I can't. And I'm going to be hyper-focused tomorrow because tomorrow I can. And there's something about just watching how he goes through it that makes more sense than just explaining it as a bullet point. But in my opinion, that was the biggest superpower in the game. The ability to, as agile as possible, switch between doing nothing when you can't do anything, doing everything when there is a chance, and knowing how to tell the difference. When you feel that you are doing the best possible thing in that moment, you feel no regret. And that feels amazing. The scene where he dies trying to fight Renoir. And it doesn't even work out. But there's sadness of saying goodbye, but there's never regret. He's pretty doing okay. Everyone else is freaking out, and that's because he knows this is an opportunity. I could do something. I'm going to do everything possible, even if it doesn't work. If it was a situation where doing nothing is the only thing, I don't regret that because I know there's nothing I can do, and I'm just going to fully embrace that. I actually found out this is one of the cornerstones of French culture when I went out there, and it makes sense how this is the story that these people told in Sandfall Interactive. Last question. What part of my past career expectations do I need consciously to release to access new opportunities? The number one biggest thing is having walls between what you do and you don't do. These are going to be coming down so fast, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be exciting. Depends on what the next wall is. But it's not an optional wall. They're going to come down. The only thing that matters is how well you can enjoy the process and how effectively you can take advantage of the change. All right, feel good about that last one. Next week, I'm going to have wired up an AI so I can actually just talk to it and have it text the voice, give me the questions. This felt like a workout. I am tired, but I'm excited about this. My big takeaway I'm going to give everybody to just take a step away from the AI worry for a bit. Build a format where you can just sit down from the camera and start talking, or if you're a blogger, write as soon as possible. The longer you delay trying to make things perfect or refine things or plan things out, that fire dies. The person who understood why that mattered stops being you, and it never gets made. And if not for everyone else, that letter from your past self has turned out to be more value than I could have imagined. And I'm grateful for it every time I've done it. See you next Sunday.